Yes, I see Maria coming in, our next speaker. Hi, how are you doing?
Hello. Hi, I'm good. Thank you. I think you'll hear my dog here and there. If so, I'm sorry.
No worries.
She's a fan.
You have a microphone. It looks very professional. So,
Thank you. I hope you can hear me well. Yes.
yes, I can. So thanks for being here. Maria works as a product owner, which is something that we touched upon earlier today. Product ownership, product management, a very important, maybe increasingly important role within the tech world as well. And something you can definitely move into as well when you start a tech career. Maria did so at booking.com and now works with Molly, but I'm sure she'll introduce herself a bit more. And she'll tell you a bit about what her life and what her days look like. So the floor is
Yes.
yours, Maria.
That's very true. Thank you so much. All right. Let me try the sharing of the screen to see if you all can see what I see right now. Yes. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So before I start, actually, I wanted to ask everybody who is online right now to leave where you're from in the chat. I'm very curious to see where everybody from, because we're remote right now, so I have no idea where you're all at. It'll be super nice to see actually on the side when I can see it. But anyway, hello everybody. It's really nice to see you. I am Maria. I am a product manager. So today I'll be talking to you all about the product magic and what is it, the role, and where do product managers come from, and what is it that we do. I hope I will squeeze in enough to inspire you to consider this as your career, because it is very, very cool and it's really awesome. Because by the end of my day, I actually get to deliver really cool products to people like yourselves and your families and everybody around the world, which is one of the coolest things. So hopefully that will happen. In the meanwhile, let me tell you a little bit about me. So I'm a product manager of 10 plus years. I have worked in different areas of business, travel, fintech, education. And my flavor of product management, which by the way, I'll touch upon a bit later, what that means. I don't actually have one. I just love working on whatever products as long as I enjoy the team I work with. So I think it doesn't really matter to me. I'm quite flexible, but I have done work on like data products, more commercial products, app products, all sorts. So, but I'll touch upon like the flavors in a bit so that you know what I mean. So firstly, yes, where do we come from? What's the history? So essentially, product managers are people behind all of these brands that you know and use, hopefully love, and some you probably don't. But we all come from very, very different backgrounds, and our stories are very different. And I think that is the one commonality we have. I've interviewed over hundreds and hundreds of product managers during my time at booking.com, where I worked for 10 years. And one of the things that they all had in common is that we didn't have a common story. So, and I think this is probably going to resonate with all of you, where you are maybe reconsidering a career shift, or maybe you're at the beginning of stages of your career. This is a very common path for people to kind of go through different jobs in different countries before you find your dream destination. So the media and all of these fantastic job coaches like to tell us that it's a straight line. Well, it isn't. And it also wasn't for me, and I don't think it's for many people that I know. So over here, you can see that it took me a good 10 years before I finally arrived at a product management job, which is the number 8, by the way. And I got fired before I got there. And that wasn't fun. But I have learned so much through those 10 years, where I've learned what I don't want to do. And I've also learned a lot about how companies run. Because I worked in so many, in all different environments and sizes and departments, I have picked up so much knowledge, like kind of 360 knowledge about how businesses run. And once I got into product management at the 8th point, I've really just kind of thrived, and it's more or less on the way up there. I'm now on my 10th job, so let's see how many more I'll get. But I think the main story to take away here is that between 20s and 30s, it is the time of the changes and sampling of jobs. And if you're there right now, it's normal. We all have this. So don't feel weird, and kind of embrace that fact that it is part of it. But product managers have also quite interesting history in terms of the role and where it comes from. Funnily enough, although right now we talk about product management in software development perspective, it doesn't come from software. So it actually started all the way back in 1931, where the company called Procter and Gamble, I don't know if you know them, they try to find out whether they can find a better match between the products they're selling to their customers and the price, and also kind of figure out why they're not selling some of the products as well as they could. And when they tried to do it through sales, that didn't work. When they tried to do it through marketing, that didn't work. So what they did, they created a role that was a mix of all and sent those people over to talk to customers. And that was success. So this is the first time where we see a kind of a fusion of different departments in one role and specifically focusing on customer. And this is very much still the case today. Maybe it is not as much about marketing and sales, but it is very much still a fusion of different skills and things with the focus on customer. Nowadays, more like 2001 and 2010 is where we are starting to touch more the definition of what product management is today. That started with the Agile Manifesto, where I don't know if you know about this. If you don't, Google it. It's actually where Agile comes from. And in this manifesto was basically defined also a need for being more centered on customer and less on the processes of the business. And this is also where the need for the role of product owner within an Agile development team was created and was born. So this is where we go, and this is kind of where you can start the history, the more modern history of product management. So as I mentioned, we are representative of the customer voice, but so that is the ultimate responsibility that I carry in my team and in my company. However, it's not as simple as that. I also have to balance the need of the business or the company and what is feasible technically. So many of you are developers. So this is very much part of the equation of what I have to consider. Your voice and what you think is possible, together what my customer wants, together what the business wants. So as you can imagine, that's quite a lot of tension, and trying to find the compromise between the three sides is not always easy. So for me to be able to do that, I need to have a set of commercial skills to understand my market and my customer. But I also have to be fluent with data to be able to say whether a certain direction makes sense, KPIs, SLIs, SLOs. I need to have an affiliation with design and tech so that I can speak to both of these roles, so that I have a conversation with you and we actually talk the same language. But all of this can differ from company to company and from product to product. So in some cases, all three are needed and more. In some cases, only all three are needed. So it really depends. Again, that kind of a little, I would say, complexity to the role comes back again. But one thing that is true, there is no university degree for this job. Not yet. I'm curious if it will happen, but not yet. So you can't really study to become a product manager. There are certain courses and certain qualifications that will help you. I would say background in economics, but also background in tech is very, very useful. But as you heard, it is very much a collection of experiences and skills and companies that you kind of collect along the way. These days, what is also important to say, as I mentioned, the role sits within the software development team. So if you think about the company structure, there is different departments. Product management sits within the tech department or the software development team department. Now, we've been talking a lot about product management, but we haven't really touched upon what a product is. So what do I mean when I talk about product? So there are many, many definitions that you may find, but here's my personal one. So products in software development is something that either customer can interact with, business can interact with, or machine or code can interact with. And this really includes quite a lot of things if you think about it. So from customer perspective, customer is somebody who pays for products in exchange for service, right? So these are things like maybe an app that you use, Spotify, Uber, whatever have you. Businesses are, products for businesses are things that you may not see as a customer, but businesses need in order to run what they do. These could be HR services, these could be financial reconciliation services, more or less for the back end of the business. And finally, machine and code. This is something that a lot of people forget, but it's very much part of the day-to-day life nowadays. So these are products or features that are required to run something. For example, an API or service-to-service framework, a cloud framework. These are all things that you can purchase these days. It could also be a machine learning algorithm or a security code that protects you when you're going through the payment process. These are all pieces of products that companies these days can actually outsource and buy. So as such, they also have product managers. Interactions on all of these products can be for any and all purpose. Just because they're free doesn't really mean that they don't belong here. Nothing is really for free too. Not many things are for free. A lot of things are for price or for data, for exchange of your data. Yeah, I was wondering if you can actually think of some products yourselves, some things that you have on your laptop or maybe on your mobile phone. I bet you can. Zoom is one. We're on one product right now. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the kind of flavors of products that we have in the world. And also with that comes a product management flavor. And why I want to talk about it is because this is where I think it gets interesting for different people. Because if you think of a product management as this one generic unknown thing, it may not be so exciting to get into. But if you start looking at it from different expertise point of view, it may be something that you may consider. For example, data science area. So there are many products on the market today that consider data science within its portfolio. For example, TikTok has a For You page that's fully run by machine learning. YouTube recommenders, of course, they're famous for recommendations. You have Spotify, their whole dashboard where you land is all recommendations, basically in different shape and form. So it's all machine learning, all data science. And all of these products have product managers behind them who have data science backgrounds and affiliation and skill sets, and they deliver these products together with data scientists and developers. So if you've ever had that kind of affiliation, this could be an area for you. There are also other ones, for example, in security and technical products, but also like the more sexy or like known are the commercial products. So your Instagrams and YouTubes of the world and Airbnbs. So all of these companies have sometimes actually hundreds of product teams behind them with product managers behind with each team. So there's plenty to pick from. One thing that I like to also mention is, for example, within the commercial area, if you're looking at development for app or website, there's a different skill set that's required from the product manager. It's not that you can't have all of these. You can actually work on all of these if you wish. It's just that as more and more products enter the world, there is a more and more need for refinement expertise from everyone within the team. So rather than being a generalist, you tend to become more specified and focused on one area within the product management these days. And I think that's kind of cool. You can still choose to be generalist, but I think it's quite cool to be able to kind of go into flavor. So what do we do? Whatever flavor we have, right? Doesn't really matter. We still need to deliver products. And how do we do that? So deliver a product is not just simple as kind of coding and then testing and pushing it out. There is a lot of steps before, during, and after for product managers. So we are actually, as a role within the company, we are held responsible to come up, deliver, and improve products for our customers. So that can be as simple as there is no idea yet, and I need to come up with an idea and deliver it all the way, or there is a product and I just need to improve it continuously. So let's actually take a real example of a product that I delivered last year, and we can go through the 5 main stages of product management through that example, which I hope will be better than just talking some fluffy theory. But you can tell me later if it was better. So here is a good example of a product which I worked on. It was basically building out an app for a company, a student platform, which is aimed at students. So these students, millions of customers of this company, started basically sharing with the company through customer service whether we already have an app. So I, as a product manager, I had a big like ping. Okay, interesting. People are asking for a feature or product. Should we explore? So what we did at this stage is we've actually started a discovery phase. So this is a discovery. So the moment where you're starting to know, is this worth doing? This discovery phase was actually quite long. It took almost 2 months. We basically spent time looking at markets, and we did research with the users, the actual customers. We looked at competitors and the landscape of competitors, and also asked people more bigger topics. For example, how do they study? What kind of products they use when they study? What kind of apps? Just to see what's already in the market. Based on all of that information and data collected in this discovery phase, I was able to come back with a recommendation for the company to say whether we should or shouldn't build the app. In this case, it was a yes. So based on this recommendation, they've asked me to also come back to them with a roadmap and a plan of, okay, what are we going to do? What are the features? How many people we need to build it? By when can we do it, and how much will it cost? So all of that came out of the discovery phase, and I created this plan. So once we had that plan, we basically started. We have, at this point, involved a designer and a user researcher. The designer has created a lighter design. So that's wireframe through Figma in this case. And through this design, we were able to come back to some of our customers and say, hey, would you mind testing this new product for us and let us know what you think? This was a blind test, so we didn't really tell them how to use it. We just showed them the design and we observed them. And based on these observations, we were able to make some changes to the product and see whether what we're doing actually makes sense. And then after the blind test, we did another session where we asked them, okay, so now that you know it's an app, what would you like? What are the kind of features you're looking for? Just to make sure that we're still hitting the discovery phase state. So like knowing what came out of the discovery, are we still on the right track here? So after this phase was done, we went into the actual development stage. So this is where the actual work gets done. So you as developers begin to code. We have split the work into 3 sprints. Each sprint is basically a time of 2 weeks where we prioritize and break up this big piece of work into sections. For example, in sprint 1, a good example is registration or login page. So in order for our users to be able to use the app, they have to be able to log in. So within sprint 1, we have prioritized all the work required for us to build a login page with all the functionality, design, everything required had to be done within the sprint 1. So this continues throughout the 3 sprints. And then at the end of sprint 3, we actually had the full app. And then comes the stage of a release. So in this case, I wasn't fully comfortable releasing it right away to all of the users globally. We went with a beta release where we chose 1,000 users first. And through the interaction where they download the app, used it and gave us feedback, I became confident and comfortable with releasing to everyone globally. And this is what happened through 52 countries. Now the app is live in both App Store and Play Store. And we are not finished because now the next job begins, actually collecting feedback and trying to understand whether the app is still fixing the problem we were trying to solve in the first place, understanding if everything is working as intended, are there any bugs or things that people are complaining about. So this is what we did in this stage. We basically looked at all the feedback continuously as was coming in, making sure that everything is as it should be. And through the stage, also what I was able to do is actually start thinking about the next cycle. So just because we have delivered the app doesn't mean we're finished. Now there are new features, new pages, new things that people are asking for. So that has to be now prioritized again. And you kind of begin the whole cycle again. So you go all the way to the start and you start over. So these are the basic stages of product management. And maybe I was going very fast, but maybe you're already thinking like, that's a lot of work. How do we do it, right? And there are 2 answers to that question. On one hand, it's very much a collaboration sport. So we have to work together with everybody in the team. So we are very much part of the team. As a product manager, I would actually argue that collaboration is at the top of the skills that you have to have. So you have to be able to communicate, connect with others, be able to actually smooth out maybe some arguments and things that can go wrong particularly as we work remotely, a lot of things can go wrong because we may have different way of expressing ourselves. We come from different countries, different cultures. And if people don't get along, products don't get shipped. So as a product manager, I have to kind of be on top of that too. So influencing people and being a good collaborator is one of the top skills for product management. But also a second skill that's very, very important is actually organization and being able to organize yourself. Here's a screenshot of my calendar. As you can see, it's very, very busy because it's filled with things that I need to do in order to stay on top of what we're working on, meeting with the team, meeting with my stakeholders, making sure the roadmap is updated, reviewing what we've done, making more user research, making more discoveries. So it's a continuous cycle of work. And it's very easy to get lost in the noise. So it's very important that you're also able to kind of see the bigger picture and stay on top of this day-to-day work. So for me, I've used a lot of tools that help me stay on top of my schedule and my agenda. And I think that's also part of the success. And I think like a good TLDR takeaway slide for what a product management is, when I was thinking of how to explain it to my mom, and maybe if you need to ever explain it to your mom, this is a fantastic way to represent that. So basically, I feel that product management is kind of like being a conductor of an orchestra, where you have so many wonderful experts that play their instruments so wonderfully. They have studied for years, they're really good at it. And now we need to come together. It's not about the solo performance anymore. It's about us playing together. And I think that's the magic of product management, that we all come together to play that song, right? And where that magic comes through is through the user, through the customer who comes to the concert, pays that money, knows where to go, knows the venue, and there goes an orchestra just like kind of effortlessly playing the song, right? And just you are in awe, and the experience is wonderful, and you go home and you talk about it with other people and you love to go back. And that is the magic of product management. If you do it well, this is what you get, and this is why I love it. So yeah, I hope that this gave you a good feeling, a good understanding what the job entails. Are there any questions for me?
Thank you, Maria. That was super insightful and a lot of information in a short time. Thank you.
Yes.
I really loved how you took it from like a career where, how did your career go more into the details of product ownership? I think the first line is something a lot of people recognize. I recognize, and a lot of people are also at the beginning of that line, and it can feel very overwhelming. So that's nice to see. And we do have a couple of questions from the audience and more coming in. First one was from Judith, and she asked if you could give a specific example of the commercial skills you needed.
Yes, there are so many. So a good commercial skill would be a prioritization. So being able to determine the value of work that you're trying to create versus the cost. So kind of a business mindset around, I need to invest X amount of hours with these developers. What is the value I get out of it? And is that value matching what my customer wants? So that's a very good aspect of commercial mindsets. And maybe another, maybe more typical one could be that you have an awareness and understanding of the trends that are in the business, in your market, your customers, what's going on, technical innovation and trends like that. So having that bigger picture all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And which I think is also a very good question. I think she asked it as well. What's the difference exactly between a product manager and a product owner?
Yes, and project manager and program manager, there are four. So I think number one, I have to say, some companies call it different, but it's the same to them. But officially, there is a difference. So product owner, I would say, has a more of a narrow scope. So when you think about, let's say, a feature you want to ship on a website, so there could be a product owner just looks after that one feature, let's say search or ranking or hotel page. Product management, on the other hand, considers the full end journey of the customer from the beginning till the end. So you kind of look after a larger part of the product, the full product,
Right.
end to end. Yeah. So that would be maybe the bigger difference.
Yeah. So it has a lot to do with scope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. You were also mentioning some tools that made your life a lot easier, and multiple people were asking about it. For example, the ones for planning and time management. Do you have certain tools that you can recommend?
So I love Clockwise. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's amazing tool, particularly for people who have a lot of meetings. It's an add-on on the calendar. And what it does, it takes over scheduling for like recurring meetings. And it respects when you say, hey, I want to have a focus time from 10 till 12. It will respect that time and not allow anybody to book any meetings. So for me, that's super important. And besides this, I use a lot of Google products to kind of make sure that I'm on top of things like calendar. I do a lot of add-ons between calendar and my email. And then for roadmaps, for example, I really don't like to use too many fancy tools or anything like that. I actually like to use Miro. Miro is a wonderful tool for visualization of roadmaps and all sorts of workflows. So I like to keep it simple in one place as much as I can. So I know there are like hundreds and hundreds of tools, but I think it's more about like what works best for you. Yeah, I think these are good. Yeah.
Great. Maybe if other people have other recommendations that
Yes.
they're used to using, put them in the chat and share them with all of us.
Yes, I'll check them out too.
Yeah, we got a lot of answers as well on your question where everyone was based from. I'm not sure if you saw whether it was
Yes, I
Dubai,
saw
New
it.
York City.
It's amazing. All around the world, man.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
really
Colombia,
exciting.
Dubai,
Yeah.
Netherlands, Utrecht. Oh man, India. Yeah, it's crazy.
So last question before we continue to the last meeting of today. We're running a little bit late, but I think this is an important one for many people here. How do you transition from more of a tech role, such as a developer or an automation engineer, towards product manager?
Yes, that's a wonderful one. So I think one way to do it is to pick a product management flavor that's close to your craft. So as I said, maybe for those people, a technical product could be a wonderful one. And I have to say, particularly technical product managers are scarce. So I would recommend that path. But I also do know that a lot of people are trying to get into product management from non-technical, like maybe non-technical roles. Not sure. But a lot of the times, what works a lot is if you get as close as you can to the product team. So maybe you will not take on the product manager job right away. Maybe it's something like technical coordinator or marketing coordinator or something related to the team. But the sooner you get close to the team and work with them, the sooner you get an opportunity. Because almost every product team will hire eventually, and they tend to look inwards first. So if you're close to the team and you already know them, it's very likely you'll get that opportunity. So that would be my best tip.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maria.
No
Thank you for
worries. That
being
was
here
lovely.
today
Thank you.
and answering everyone's questions. And thanks everyone for putting your questions in the Q&A. I saw you asked Maria as well to put the tools in the chat, so I'm forwarding that question right now.